Trump's actions stir major risks, potential plunge in yuan value. Luxury treatment for top officials at 2 sessions uncovered. HPV infections top 800 million in China, Gynecological calls double post-New Year. Reappearance of Sino-Vietnamese conflict? Expert identifies 2 potential flashpoints in 2024 Taiwan Strait. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Trump's actions stir major risks, potential plunge in yuan value. On the eve of the National People's Congress and the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, also known as the 2 sessions, the A-share market saw yet another sharp decline. Warnings were also raised regarding the renminbi's exchange rate. The Financial Times reported on the 27th that in the lead-up to the 2 sessions, China sought to stabilize the renminbi against the US dollar, aiming to uplift confidence in its currency and economic outlook. However, should Trump secure victory in the year-end elections and reignite the tariff conflict, it's projected that the renminbi will face a considerable devaluation against the dollar over time. Trump has mentioned that, if re-elected in November, he might levy a 60% tariff on imports from China. Wang Zhu, the Greater China head of foreign exchange and interest rate strategy at BNP Paribas, commented to the Financial Times, saying, "We're essentially witnessing the close of an era of normal trade relations between China and the US." Wang Zhu estimates a minimum 10% devaluation of the renminbi, bringing it to about 8 renminbi per US dollar. Economists from Capital Economics, a leading investment research firm in London, forecast an approximate 18% drop in the renminbi's value to 8.5 renminbi per US dollar if Trump acts on his tariff threats. According to a recent Capital Economics report, the economic damage from Trump's prior tariffs on China was unexpectedly minimal, but the outcomes could be markedly different with a new round of US tariffs. The fear of renminbi devaluation might accelerate the withdrawal of foreign investments from China, further driving down the Chinese stock market. Despite the government's intervention with state teams to support the market, and attempts to halt the downturn through measures such as short-selling restrictions and quantitative fund trading limits, the A-share market, encompassing 5,000 stocks, experienced another fall on the 28th. The Shanghai Composite Index declined by 1.91%. The China Securities Regulatory Commission recently eased certain restrictions, permitting quantitative funds to withdraw. This adjustment triggered a massive volume of transactions in the stock market on the 28th, resulting in over 900 billion yuan, approximately 125.05 billion US dollars, of capital escaping, effectively ensnaring individual investors and others within the volatile market. Amidst a grim economic landscape, international observers are keenly watching to see if the CCP's 2 sessions will roll out new economic strategies. Wang Huntao, chairman of the National Committee of the China Democracy Party, is skeptical about the potential impact of the government's reports from the 2 sessions, doubting any significant economic turnaround. As previously reported, Pierre-Antoine Donnet, the former editor-in-chief at Agence France-Presse, disclosed insights from a source well-versed in CCP politics. According to his article, the ongoing financial crisis has resulted in 1/5 of civil servants outside of Beijing not receiving their paychecks, spreading fear among the bureaucratic ranks. The future remains uncertain, with some financial elites suggesting the necessity of declaring national bankruptcy. There's a growing chorus of criticism against Xi Jinping, painting a picture of China as a pressure cooker on the verge of explosion. In a conversation with the Epoch Times, Wang Huntao expressed his observation that the Chinese public sentiment towards Xi Jinping is increasingly one of disappointment and despair. He remarked, "God makes those whom he wishes to destroy mad first." Just like dynasties on the brink of collapse exhibit extreme arrogance and tyranny, Xi Jinping has effectively sealed off any possibility for the Communist Party to rejuvenate itself. Luxury treatment for top officials at 2 sessions uncovered. The CCP's National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference and the National People's Congress will take place on March 4th and 5th. As all Beijingers know, although it is claimed to be the People's Congress, whenever these 2 meetings are held, the people begin to suffer. Beijing is currently under a palpable air of tension, almost as though it's bracing against a formidable adversary. Beyond the stringent policing and thorough inspection of vehicles coming in and out of the city, there are widespread social media reports suggesting that the authorities have taken more drastic measures by deporting hundreds of thousands of migrants lacking local Beijing residency. How intense is this effort? Kai Chi, the fifth-ranking member of the CCP's Central Secretariat and former Beijing Municipal Committee secretary known for driving out the so-called low-end population, made a statement that is quite representative. Kai Chi said, "At the grassroots level, we must fight with real swords and spears, we must see the bayonet turn red. It's not just Beijing, whenever the CCP's 2 sessions are held, the entire country, from top to bottom, including police and national security departments, becomes a chaotic scene, with violent stability maintenance being the top priority. Perhaps it's because those so-called people's representatives have done too many bad deeds and cannot sleep peacefully. To ensure nothing goes wrong, some places even require that kitchen knives and scissors be locked up. Many are puzzled, how come CCP officials and people's representatives, who profess to be servants of the people, appear to be almost hysterically fearful of the populace?" The unveiling of a retirement benefits list for the CCP's Central Organization Department's former leaders has shed light on this mystery for many. This disclosed list shows the lavish public spending on the top 12 ministerial-level retired officials, averaging 27.25 million yuan, nearly $3.8 million, each from a total of 326 million yuan, about $45.3 million. Furthermore, 105 high-ranking retirees enjoyed 671 million yuan, about $93.2 million, in public funds, averaging more than 6.3 million yuan, about $875,000 per person. Additionally, 5,537 retired officials at the provincial and ministerial levels, along with celebrities enjoying equivalent perks, were each provided with 3 to 5 staff members, with their yearly public expenditures varying from 700,000 to over 6 million yuan, approximately from 97,000 to 834,000 $. The yearly expenses for retired officials in Beijing, Shanghai, Guangdong, Zhejiang, and Fujian, at the provincial and ministerial levels, averaged above 5 million yuan each, nearly $695,000. These figures only represent the benefits of previously retired CCP officials. One can only speculate about the spending on current officials. It's no surprise then, some observe that without these officials, universal healthcare could become a reality for the Chinese masses overnight. It's a misconception to believe that only high-ranking officials are afforded such privileges. In the CCP's bureaucratic framework, even a rank-and-file police officer can accumulate enormous wealth through corrupt practices. As previously reported, a case in point involves a woman who recently made a public accusation against her sister and brother-in-law, a police officer in Hainan province, accusing them of corruption, bribery, and accumulating a significant property portfolio, including ownership of 8 properties and allegations of having the accuser's mother help conceal 760,000 yuan of illicit funds, nearly $106,000. It's often remarked that in some countries, wealth is hidden among its citizens, yet China has evolved into a society where wealth is predominantly concealed by its officials. There's a saying that CCP officials are now embarrassed to claim they serve the people unless they've embezzled a sum in the 7- or 8-figure range. As reported by the Epoch Times, Nie Chunyu, a former Secretary General of the Shaanxi Provincial Committee, candidly stated, "My power comes from my superiors, so naturally, I aim to please them, employing every method to meet their expectations. Serving the people wholeheartedly means my superiors are the people. The general public hasn't endowed me with power, so why should I serve them?" HPV infections top 800 million in China, Gynecological calls double post-New Year. Recently, on a short video platform in China, Douyin, Dr. Hu Xiaodi, a gynecologist, alarmed viewers with a recent video announcement. The number of HPV, human papillomavirus, infections in China has soared past 800 million. Echoing this startling revelation, another impactful video cited data from the Chinese Center for Disease Control, CDC, confirming the staggering figure of over 800 million HPV infections nationwide. This means nearly 60% of the Chinese population is infected with HPV. Both videos highlighted a significant uptick in calls for gynecological HPV consultations post-2024 work resumption. Doctor Who cautioned viewers, noting the high transmissibility of HPV and the absence of a definitive cure. Subsequently, both of these shocking videos were removed from the platform. The comment sections of HPV-themed videos on Douyin are filled with personal accounts from affected netizens. One individual from Hunan shared their initial terror upon learning they had type 16 HPV, a strain potentially leading to cancer, which led to days of crying before the condition improved. They reflected on the fear-inducing manner of some medical advice, suggesting it could be overwhelmingly frightening. Another comment mentioned living with type 56, a low-grade lesion, likened to a ticking time bomb. According to Wikipedia, HPV is a non-enveloped DNA virus that targets the body's epithelial and mucosal tissues. While HPV infection can lead to conditions such as warts and cancer, most cases remain asymptomatic. By September 2023, scientists had identified 231 different types of HPV. Of these, 30 to 40 types are sexually transmitted, affecting the reproductive organs and their adjacent skin. Persistent infections with specific high-risk HPV types can progress to precancerous conditions and even invasive cancers. Studies have shown that 99.7% of cervical cancer cases are linked to HPV infections. Additionally, research from Taiwan suggests HPV as a contributing factor to lung adenocarcinoma. Importantly, HPV infections are not exclusive to women, they are equally prevalent and dangerous in men. A report by the 21st Century Business Herald highlighted comments from Bu Zhangyu, a senior doctor at Hangzhou First People's Hospital, emphasizing that while HPV discussions often center on women, men are also at risk. HPV in men can lead to conditions ranging from genital warts to more severe cancers such as anal, penile, oropharyngeal, laryngeal, and colorectal cancers. Reappearance of Sino-Vietnamese conflict? Expert identifies 2 potential flashpoints in 2024 Taiwan Strait. Lai Ching-te, known for his anti-CCP stance, was elected president of the Republic of China, or Taiwan, on January 13, triggering an escalation in CCP threats and provocations toward Taiwan. Experts draw parallels between these actions of the CCP and the prelude to the Sino-Vietnamese War in 1979. On January 30, the CCP unilaterally altered a civilian flight path, moving the M503 route closer to Taiwan, a clear disregard for the median line of the strait, which the CCP does not recognize. The Mainland Affairs Council in Taiwan condemned the CCP's actions, accusing it of compromising flight safety and using civilian aviation for inappropriate political and military intentions, potentially altering the status quo in the Taiwan Strait. On February 14, a speedboat with 4 mainland Chinese on board entered Taiwan-controlled waters near Kinmen, leading to a fatal confrontation with the Taiwan Coast Guard. This incident was used by the CCP to stir nationalist fervor within China. February 19 saw CCP Coast Guard vessels harass a Taiwanese tourist boat, boarding it under the guise of an inspection, alarming the passengers. Taiwan has since cautioned its vessels to steer clear of the strait's median line, especially near the mainland. On February 28, Taiwan reported an increase in CCP Coast Guard vessels in the Kinmen-Xiamen area, with some entering Kinmen's restricted waters, prompting immediate action from the Kinmen Coast Guard. In an article for Radio Free Asia on the 27th, commentator Chen Pokong likened the CCP's recent maneuvers to its notorious porcelain bumping tactic, drawing parallels to the tense prelude of the 1979 Sino-Vietnamese War. Porcelain bumping is a term originating from a scam practice in China, where individuals deliberately cause accidents, such as bumping into cars or pedestrians, and then claim injury or damage to extort money from the victims. The term is derived from the idea of someone intentionally bumping into someone carrying porcelain, causing it to break, and then demanding compensation for the broken goods. Chen highlighted the CCP's media strategy at the time, which focused on sensationalizing Vietnamese aggressions against Chinese citizens to fuel a wave of nationalism and prepare the country for war. This propaganda campaign set the stage for the conflict that saw 200,000 Chinese Communist troops invade Vietnam, dubbed by the CCP as a self-defense counterattack. According to Chen, the CCP's current escalations and media manipulations against Taiwan echo this historical precedent, posing a stark warning to both Taiwan and the global community about the CCP's readiness to escalate tensions. He pinpointed two critical dates in 2024, the inauguration of Taiwan's new president Lai Ching-te on May 20th and the U.S. presidential election on November 5th, as potential flashpoints. Moreover, Chen discussed the CCP's unexpected launch of a widespread conscription drive before the Chinese New Year, targeting college students and rural youth up to 24 years old, aiming to bolster military ranks, address unemployment, and suppress dissent, particularly from the youth active in the 2022 White Paper protests. The Center for Strategic and International Studies, CSIS, in Washington released a survey on January 22, titled Surveying the Experts, U.S. and Taiwan Views on China's Approach to Taiwan, with input from 52 American and 35 Taiwanese experts. The consensus? The recent Sino-American diplomatic efforts haven't diminished the threat of a Taiwan Strait crisis, with 67% of American experts and 57% of Taiwanese experts believing that a crisis in the Taiwan Strait could occur in 2024. Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.